Dear colleagues, good afternoon. For some of you, it's good evening, and for some of you, it's probably early in the morning. So today is the 28th of December, and this is the last broadcast from our platform in this year, the year 2025. I would like to welcome you all here in such big numbers, and I see already you guys started sharing the geography, where what cities and countries you are from. So, dear colleagues, here's what I wanted to tell you. Our meeting is going to be quite interesting today because we're going to summarize the events and achievements of 2025, but not only of 2025, but I guess the events and results achieved in the last 10 years since the day of the foundation of the engineering company, Unitsky String Technologies Inc. And that period that we went through together, observing and promoting the development of the string transportation technology, is, I guess, a very important stretch of many our investors' lives, of many people who support and advocate for the UST technology and for everything that Dr. Unitsky and his team are doing. Indeed, it's a very huge and important part of, I guess, everyone present here life. I see some people say that there is no sound, but on the other hand, I see confirmations that sound is there. So we don't even have to check the sound. I'm sure everything is fine. So friends, before we start summarizing the expiring year 2025, before we move on to specific facts and events that happened this year, some of them happened before that, I would gladly tell you a story. I guess it's an example of how an invisible, apparently invisible process gives life to something that grows to create an entire sector. And this example will serve as a comparison of what happened in the UST area this year and last year. And I think that example will show to many people how underappreciated is by many people, or the fact or the project, how underappreciated the project they joined is. And that case, that example is about a bamboo. It's a Chinese plant. Well, originated in Chinese. Do you know, guys, how bamboo grows? I know that you guys know what bamboo is, but do you know how it grows? Well, I guess that many of you know. Oh, I see already some answers that are very, very close to the point. Because I thought that many people know that bamboo, grows fast, really rapidly, like a couple of dozens and centimeters per day. However, probably not everyone knows how much it takes for the bamboo to mature. And I see Vyacheslav wrote it that it takes 5 years for bamboo to first mature under the ground. And then it starts growing really rapidly and fast. So let's go back to how that plant is born, right? So when bamboo is planted, when planting happens, on the outside, on the surface of the earth, you can't see anything. Sometimes you can even see a sprout, but then it can even dry out. So probably those people who grow it for the first time, it might seem to them that the plant didn't take roots, right? They think that that's it. It died. And that would be the opinion of a person, an amateur, who doesn't know how to grow bamboo and doesn't know anything about bamboo. And they might think they probably did something wrong and the plant didn't take roots. However, what happens next is the roots start taking shape in the first years. It doesn't grow upwards, as Vyacheslav and a couple of other our guests wrote. Bamboo grows downwards, and it first creates a very solid, dense root system. And again, you cannot observe it from the surface. The roots go deep and wide, and that's how it creates a sustainable network for nutrients. And then it takes 4 years to create that invisible infrastructure below the earth, below the surface of the earth that you cannot see from its outside. And then the root system increases like dozens of times. It gets bigger than the outside part of it, and then it gets resilient to elements, to weather, snow, rain, heat, etc., etc. So it kind of accumulates energy. So on the outside, you see nothing impressive. For some people, it might seem it's taking too long. And the person who doesn't know how it all happens, in reality, they might start asking, where are the results? Why isn't it growing? And at that break point, when the root system is being formed, a lot of people give up and stop pouring water on it, stop watering it, because they think I did my best, but it doesn't grow. But in reality, the roots are being formed below the surface of the earth, and only at year 5 bamboo starts growing rapidly, very rapidly, sometimes even 90 centimeters per day. Imagine almost 1 meter per day overnight. And then it takes only 2 months for the bamboo sometimes to get 30 meters high. So this example is a perfect metaphor. This plant is a perfect metaphor that it did not started growing. Its growth speed did not increase. It was always growing, but it was growing downwards. It was investing in its roots. And then it started rapidly growing upwards because everything else was already in place. It had the root system, solid root system. It now has the feeding mechanism. It is now resilient to elements, wind and rain, etc. And only then it starts growing rapidly. And if we compare it to what happened in 10 years in the development of UST, it shows very well how the string transportation technology in that time went down that same path. And what stage we are at right now, if we are to summarize the results, we can kind of guess at what stage the UST technology is in that metaphor, in that example. Well, in a nutshell, we can try to draw parallels here and see how it relates to the topic. Well, first, bamboo grows slowly, apparently. It grows well, but you can't see it in the first years because it happens below the surface. And it grows in a place where an outside observer can't see, where the outside world can't see. Because usually what you are accustomed to be seeing is the outside, the stem, the trunk, the leaves, and you don't get to see that. And UST passed that stage in 2025. over all the previous years, the outside observers did not really see how the company grew, how the company developed, because the company was not visible in the international arena, in the international market, the way it is becoming visible right now. And it is the year 2025, in my opinion, when that growth became apparent, became visible, when that metaphorical bamboo starts actually growing upwards. So, dear colleagues, the reason I'm saying that is that right now we are going to look into the key events in the technology, and we will draw parallels to the metaphor that I've just given you. And we'll see how the UST company grew in those 10 years and how the year 2025 became a breakthrough year. So let's take a look at my screen right now, and together we're going to refer to the information that we have as official summary of the 2025 from the engineering company itself. And I'm pretty sure that you can see my screen right now. So right now, let's go through the main items or events, I guess, better, that happened in the year 2025, which is about to expire. Well, as I said, the year 2025 was a very significant year. It was a milestone year. It was the 10-year anniversary for the engineering company. As in the example of bamboo, it is probably year 4 or 5 of the bamboo growth when we see the first sprouts growing. Why? Because the UST technology, string transportation technology, moved from the demonstration stage into the stage of real commercial projects. And we know that last year, yes, it was last year, exactly 1 year ago, in December 2025, the first commercial project was launched, Unilight project, and it's been a entire astronomical year, calendar year as well, of operation, and it goes to show, to prove the viability of the UST technology. So what happened over that time? Training specialists for scaling string transportation projects. I will read out some of these sections for you because they are important. So throughout the year, the company has been actively fostering partnerships with educational institutions in Belarus and beyond. This activity allowed UST company to establish strong connections with the educational community and enhance human resources for the successful implementation of future projects. So the company also strengthened its cooperation with leading universities in Russia and Belarus, and the key event was the signing of a scientific and technical partnership agreement with St. Petersburg Mining University. At the same time, the company has established relationships with the Belarusian State University of Economics and the Belarus-Russian University in Mogilov, creating a foundation for staff training, research, development, and internships. Also, UST enhanced its academic footprint by hosting an international competition for scientific papers featuring 40 university delegates from 6 countries and delivering a series of lectures at universities in Belarus and Russia. So, dear colleagues, that first section about the events that happened in 2025 shows you, as in the example of the bamboo growth, how the roots are being formed, without which you cannot achieve rapid growth, without which the rapid growth wouldn't be possible. The company in the last 10 years was laying the foundation and building its engineering school. Back in 2014, it was just Dr. Unitsky, an engineer in UST. And now that company has around 1,000 people, most of whom are engineers, specialists in the area of string technology, who are kind of inheriting Unitsky's knowledge and school and that company is now an R&D engineering institution, and we know about that status. That status was given to that company a couple of years ago. Now, friends, let's remember it. The company all that time was laying the foundation, building the foundation for its future growth. What happened next? Recognition at the state level. We know that a major event happened, very known event happened this summer, this year, when Ecotechnopark was visited by Sergei Glaziev, State Secretary of the Union State. And this visit strengthened expert and political support for the development of string transportation within the Union State. And it, again, we're talking about the visits of high-ranking officials, at this case at the interstate level. He represents quite a huge interstate agency. And as a result of this visit, a meeting of the Scientific and Expert Council of the Union State Standing Committee was held, and at that meeting the prospects for the implementation of string transport within the Russian-Belarusian partnership were discussed. It didn't happen long ago, it happened quite little time ago, and it was quite an important event in the development, in the history of the development of the technology. So if we go back to our original metaphor with which I started our meeting, the string transportation technology now is becoming visible above the surface of the Earth. So the creation of the engineering school wasn't visible to a layman, to an outsider. We knew about it as investors, as partners, people who follow the development of the technology and who dig deeper into the process. But not even all investors dug deep enough or knew everything, knew how big and large scale the project is. But those who are on the same page, those who have better awareness, they understand the significance and the importance of creating the engineering school, the importance of creating the engineering school for the technology. And right now we can observe, we can see that high-ranking officials and others now see that technology is visible to them and visible to people who probably had doubts that this technology might become viable. So let's be honest here. That's how it was. For many years, skeptics were saying that UST technology is not viable. It's not going to happen. A lot of people were saying it was not realistic. A lot of people were saying that the technology was not competitive, and a lot of other criticism and comments, derogatory comments. And a couple of years later, now we see exactly the opposite. Now, the next event that happened literally last month was the participation of the representatives of UST. Representatives from UST attended the 7th International Municipal Forum of BRICS countries, which was held in St. Petersburg on November 20th, 21st. And the forum was attracted more than 5,000 participants from 79 countries. So that's the event where we can see now the results. We can see now that the root system of the company is strong, and now the tree starts growing. So things that were not visible to an outsider now are becoming visible. And 79 countries, 5,000 people, participants, now heard about the technology, but not only just heard about it, but also kind of took note of it and now realize that that technology can be implemented in their countries, in their regions, because it allowed to create a potential portfolio of projects in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. That's what we saw in the memorandum of the GTI group of companies. I'm talking about the portfolio of commercial projects. So participation in such a forum, in such high-level events, allows to implement it all and to kind of increase the portfolio of potential commercial projects. Next, a lot of people do not see or cannot see how tests are run. They don't know how labor intensive that process is. And when the Karat film was released, which now has more than 200,000 views on YouTube, and now that film changed people's opinion and view of how tests are run, of how the technology is implemented from from A to Z, and the Karat rolling stock that can move at quite high speeds at 120 kilometers per hour, which is currently the highest speed achieved by the string transportation. However, the target speed is 150 hours per hour eventually, because trucks that will be built, they will have bigger length. And with bigger length, you can develop bigger speeds. Next, international certification as the basis for trust in technology. So the company has increased the number of its certificates and management system certificates, expanded its international management system certifications. One of the most important ones are ISO 45001 and ISO 2018 and ISO 50001 2018. We are talking about certificates that include standards in the area of power equipment. And audits show that all UST elements are now ready for integration into the existing energy systems. And it's very important for the company before going into the market to have that international certification, because for many major infrastructural projects, certification is a major requirement. But another thing that should be pointed out as a huge achievement is that in 2025, UST reached a significant milestone with the establishment of a comprehensive regulatory framework for string transport at the state level and its integration into the technical regulation system of Belarus and the Eurasian Economic Union. The State Committee for Standardization of the Republic of Belarus approved the first national standard directly governing UST technology. So here's how it goes. String transport systems, system terms and definitions. So colleagues, this is a completely new level of recognition of the technology. It's not just about certification of previously approved standards, say certification of a rolling stock as an electric car or certification of it as a public transportation. No, friends, we're talking about a separate set of standards that were created or earmarked for a new sector, new technology, UST technology. This is a huge achievement, so I simply have to read it out. The next step involved the approval of a comprehensive package of standards for rolling stock of string transport. By resolution number 65, dated May 30th, the following standards were adopted: STB 2679, string transport systems, rolling stock, rail freight vehicles, general technical conditions, and string transportation systems, rolling stock, general technical conditions. And these documents enhance the trust of potential clients and partners, streamline acceptance and certification procedures, and establish a regulatory foundation for a future transition to interstate standards within the Eurasian Union, alongside the development of national standards for string transportation. So, friends, indeed, it's a clear sign of the recognition of the technology, and eventually it helps implement the technology on a bigger scale in other markets. And we saw this month a wonderful video was published which shows how big right now the pipeline or the portfolio of current and potential projects is. UST projects, and also the plans that are going to be implemented in the year 2026. I focused on that video several times, and we discussed it, and I recommended you watch it, and I hope you did. And we saw that the geography of those projects is now very big. And colleagues, if we remember an example from which our meeting started today, the metaphor. So at the current period, the string transportation technology is now at that period where we're gonna see rapid growth of the tree, when we will see how bamboo will be growing, will be gaining dozens of centimeters per day. And if we use that metaphor, 5 years of the bamboo growth equals 10 years in the UST, when the foundation was being built, was being laid. And now we will see things that will become easily apparent both to the investors and to those people who were observing the development from the sideline. And this technology includes potential investors, institutional investors, states, municipalities, potential corporate clients, because the string transportation technology can be used for freight transportation in ports and terminals. So the first bird of the first project to be implemented was the officially outside project implemented will be and is a project in the resort area Sosny. And now we know that the project moved from design to actual civil works to construction. Let me read it out for you. The commencement of the construction of a targeted project. One of the most notable events of the year was the beginning of construction of the passenger transport infrastructure complex of UST at Sosny Sanatorium or Resort in Belarus. This line will connect the resort's residential buildings with a new spa complex. It marks the first instance of string transportation being implemented in the country's resort and sector, focusing on convenience, environmental sustainability, and tourist appeal. The project showcases how UST technology can integrate into existing recreational infrastructure without significantly disrupting the natural landscape. For the resort, this not only represents a new level of service for guests, but also serves as a marketing advantage, distinguishing it from more traditional resorts. So we now see that this is the first commercial project from outside. And in this case, the client is a state agency. And this project is not only a pilot project, but also it it showcases a combination of infrastructure plus the integrated transportation technology integrated in it. So it's indeed a showcase project. And as I said before, it will also be like the springboard for other commercial projects. Remember, I told you that more projects will follow, like mushrooms, after very good, generous rain. So, and in my opinion, this project at Sosny will be the springboard for the rapid growth of other appearance of other commercial projects, and it's gonna happen like at an exponential rate. And I'm sure that it's not just my opinion. This is the kind of reality we are at right now, and the facts show it. If we just try to analyze it ourselves, then we'll see that the implementation of the first, second, third projects will allow to achieve that rapid growth, to achieve that snowball effect that I was talking about. And this can help us come to the conclusion that the technology is ready for scaling up and for practical implementation. And in the final section of the article, we see as follows. The UST technology is now poised for large-scale practical implementation across various regions worldwide. This is reflected in the growth strategy for 2025-2035 that we started looking into already and will continue discussing it next year by the GTI group of companies, a shareholder in UST. The string transportation technology is positioned within, is added to the agenda of the Union State and BRICS, which allowed the company to gain recognition as a tool for the integration of infrastructures in Belarus and Russia and for the sustainable development of the cities of the partner countries. Throughout the year, the company has substantially expanded its project portfolio, preparing solutions for markets in the Middle East and Indonesia. Construction has begun on the complex at the Sosny Resort, along with continued development of the flagship project Karat, which has confirmed its technological maturity and readiness for deployment across various route types. So it tells us as investors into the UST technology that we are getting very close and very fast to the moment that we've been all waiting for, when the UST technology will start getting implemented in different cities and countries. And that moment is coming. So the year 2025 was, in the year 2025, we saw that all the efforts were aimed for that to happen, for the rapid growth. And now we've went through all those milestones and all those events that happened, results that were achieved in 2025. However, it wouldn't have been possible, friends, if all those years the company has not been creating that root system, which is the engineering company, all its staff of the UST Incorporated, Ecotechnopark, production facilities, the R&D center in the United Arab Emirates, marketing representative offices that are now located almost on all continents except Africa and Australia currently. And also, if we take the Arabian Peninsula, then probably you can count Africa as well here. So friends, all of it allows us to make a conclusion that the work that's been done in the last 10 years was what made this breakthrough possible in 2025 and in 2026. Now, dear colleagues, give me some feedback, please. I see some people wrote that it's just 200 meters. It's too little. I agree. This is not a big project. However, we should remember, and I mentioned it on numerous occasions, that those 200 meters can allow create hundreds and thousands of meters in the future. Because this project, in my opinion, is not just like one-off project. It's a project to prove that the technology is viable and can go through all the project implementation stages, like design or pre-design, design, feasibility study, construction, startup and commissioning, operation. And that small project will allow the technology to scale up once everything is proved to be ready. So I see Alexander says you are very correct, and Sir says yes, that's how it's going to be, and even more. Well, thank you very much for your solidarity. I agree. So here's what I wanted to tell you. That example that I gave you originally, the metaphor of how the bamboo growth to how a company, our company, is growing. When at first you can't see anything, and then you see the tree grow like dozens of centimeters per day. So here's what I wanted to add to it. If we want to summarize here, just give me a second, dear colleagues, because I'm kind of getting distracted from the comments. John Black is asking whether we're going to have a continued discussion of the memorandum. Well, not exactly. Right now we're discussing the end of the year results, and we will continue discussing the memorandum next year already. So here's what I wanted to say about the investment attractiveness of the project. So currently, at the development stage of the string transportation technology right now, in my opinion, we see a very important investment moment. Most people start investing when they see leaves on the tree. You know what I mean, right? By leaves on the tree. I'm going back to my metaphor. They start believing in the bamboo when they see the actual green stem, branches, and leaves. And that's when they start investing. But a lot of people stop watering the plant in the first 4 years because they don't see any leaves. However, investments start coming in when people know that the roots are already solid. And many of us know now that the technology has proven its viability. And now that's where the UST technology is at right now, when it's now has proven to the entire world that it works. And now it's not a startup anymore. It's not just an experiment. No, it's when very, very soon large scale rapid growth is going to happen. So it's not about a question of whether the bamboo will grow or not. No, the question now is who is going to be close to that tree when that tree will start growing. And the year 2025 showed that the root system of the company is ready. And now we can be sure of that. We were convinced. And now you can argue about it. You can call white black and black white if you're colorblind, but facts speak for themselves. Now we've seen that there are actual projects out there. Partnerships have been established. Scaling up is happening. The company has been internationally recognized. We saw new technical performance indicators, Karat, for example, that can reach not even 120 kilometers. It was 121.5 kilometers per hour. So technical performance is getting better and better. And all of it taken together proves the maturity and the viability of the technology. And in my opinion, the most important thing is to know where and how this technology is going to scale up. And here, dear colleagues, I can tell you without any false optimism or hopes, I can tell you the things the way I see them. Infrastructural projects, they do not become cheaper over time. They either become unavailable in the future or they become apparent, visible, but you can't invest them into them anymore. So in our case, the infrastructural project is a sector shaping project. that we help implement. So this is our venture investments at a stage where the technology has been over the last 10 years since the creation of the Uniski String Technologies Incorporated. And in the very near future, investors will start coming in big numbers when they see leaves and branches, as in my metaphor. When we will see commercial projects in cities, countries, and there will be dozens of them. But at that time, they won't be even able, they won't be either able to invest in the parent company, or if they are able to invest, then the investments are going to be very expensive because, of course, the company is close to its capitalization. It won't need a lot of investors by that time, and which is good for us because if something costs much, then we can sell it at a high price because we will be the owners of the shares of that expensive company. So, in my opinion, the year 2025, the string transportation technology is now at a very rare point because the technology is working. We now know it. The risks of engineering or engineering risks and the viability related risks have been reduced almost to zero, which is a very important thing to remember. Well, yes, we don't see yet global scaling up, but it just means one thing, friends. When in 2025 and in 2026, the risk to returns ratio is way better than it's going to be later. So right now, the risk to return ratio is better than what it's going to be in a couple of years compared to what it was 5 and 7 years ago too. Back then, discounts were high, but the risks were very high, right? But even now, the discount is still very good because we are expecting exponential growth. However, the year 2025, in my opinion, is the perfect balance between risks and potential returns, potential dividends, because we don't have to be convinced that the technology works. It works. We have already national standards adopted for the technology. The engineering risks were minimized. As Gulnara says, that right now the risk is zero. Yes, as far as the engineering risks are concerned, or technology related risks, I agree they are zero. And what's happening right now gives me confidence that in the next couple of years, we're going to have more contracts. The company will have more institutional investors. I'm talking about big market players from the infrastructural and transport sector. They're going to be either our partners or our investors. The company now has state-ordered projects, and in the future, I think it will be either impossible to invest in the technology or the investments are going to be very expensive. It's going to happen, friends. Like back in the day, people didn't even believe this technology was possible. And now, of course, some people might not believe me, what I'm saying right now regarding my predictions, right? But again, the way it happened back in the day, it will happen now. I'm talking about the construction of the Ecotechno Park, R&D Center, the adoption of national standards. It all happened. It will only scale up. And since the root system of the bamboo is now formed, it was watered, it was taken care of. Now, it was given proper attention, and the only development that can happen is rapid growth. And if I continue my train of thought here related to that metaphor, that growth of 40 to 90 centimeters per day will be the stage when commercial projects will be popping up, dozens of projects per year. That growth will allow colleagues, to all of us, to see the monetization of our investments. That's what many of you, I think, are concerned or probably were concerned in the past. or worried about in the past? Well, different people have different attitudes. Some people have doubts, other people have hopes and are inspired. So, friends, a lot of people still have a choice whether to be part of that project like 10, 11 years ago, or keep on observing, be a sideline observer. But it's important to understand here whether we become or remain active partners who know that we've been supporting this project for quite some time, and now when the technology is almost about to start growing 40, 90 centimeters per day, or whether we continue watering it, taking care of it, or we keep thinking, and we have such people, we keep thinking that nothing is going to happen, that it will take a lot of time. But if we keep watering that tree, if we keep taking care of that plant, that growth will be rapid and inevitable. So, and as in the metaphor, how does this metaphor applicable to our business, the watering of the plant metaphor? Last time, I talked quite a lot about the risks that we have in terms of the scaling up of the technology. And the only risks we have are related to funding. And watering the plant equals continuous investments into the operations of the GTI to make sure that that rapid growth happens. Because if we stop watering bamboo, it will dry. And of course, it will inevitably die. If in the most important point in time, when we still have to wait like 10 days or 3 months of watering and then it will start growing. So in the area of the development of UST, we understand that 1, 2, 3 years tops is the period where scaling up becomes inevitable. But it might not happen if we do not ensure, if we do not conduct crowd investing, active crowd investing activity. Because the costs that GTI bears are quite high. We're talking about $2.5 million per month, around $30 million per year. And that process alone, right now, the crowd investing process, will allow the company to get that guarantee that it will be able, in the most important period of time, to handle all the tasks that are set on its path. Alexander says, self-sustainability is not about achieving the break-even point. It's about also earning profits. Indeed, I agree. So we can help the company achieve its break-even point through our investments, and then the profits generated by the company can be shared with us, its investors, its shareholders. So in 2026, we need to become active agents. And I'm addressing myself to those who are not indifferent about the technology, the projects, and its future. We just have to wait overnight. You know, they say, and now we are kind of trying to wait out that very long night, and then the dawn will come. And this is why we are launching the updated platform Micron Global that will be carrying out the marketing promotional mission, will be promoting crowd investing into the masses, and will allow people to become more and more people to become investors and co-owners of UST. So starting January 2026, we're launching our updated platform. And we're gonna have a meeting in January, early January, and at that meeting I will tell you the exact launch date. And another thing that I can tell you is that at that meeting we will have more extended information about how we're going to work in 2026, what kind of prospects we have in terms of other projects and inventions of Dr. Unitsky, what other projects are going to be launched, and they will be launched, dear friends. So in the coming years, in the development of the string transportation technology and in terms of the crowd investing activities, we have a very long journey ahead of us because crowd investing model proved its viability as a fundraising platform. And we know that Dr. Unitsky has quite a lot of engineering ideas and inventions. Part of them have already been implemented and already been practically used. I'm talking about UST technology. I'm talking about biohumus technology. We have two production facilities up and running in Belarus and the United Arab Emirates, and the company under the brand trademark Utera. And all of it was possible through crowd investing. So why not use our updated platform? Why not start scaling up what we already have on that platform? And during our future meetings, we will further analyze the memorandum, and there's a very interesting item there dedicated to the development of commercial projects. Dear colleagues, I see some kind of personal war between different members, guests of our meeting, some kind of a feud, personal correspondence. Dear moderator, could you please delete it because it's distracting me and it kind of start to lose the train of my thought. Okay, where was I? I was saying that thanks to crowd investing, a number of Dr. Unitsky's projects and inventions were implemented, and we will continue scaling up and promoting what we already have and also promote new projects. Another very important point was raised that the UST transportation and our business is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And in reality, during the marathon run, a lot of athletes drop out, and it's normal. Some people do not have enough discipline, others do not have enough stamina and endurance. And in our business, in our projects, there are also such partners and investors who drop out of that marathon, and because they don't understand apparent things, obvious things, because they started growing bamboo, but they didn't know that it takes 4 to 5 years for the root system to develop. So they kind of were given bamboo and they told them, like, water the plant and it will grow. But they didn't tell that person that they should be watering it for 5 and 4 years before it starts growing. Nobody told them that the root system needs 5 years to take shape. And that person was fed up of watering that plant. They didn't know that this is how many years it takes for the roots to grow. And they stop watering, they give up, and the bamboo dies. So, friends, right now we have an opportunity to raise our awareness. We have an opportunity to become actual professionals in our business. We have all the information at hand. We fully realize that creating a string transportation technology is about creating a whole sector, industrial sector. And it doesn't take 5, 10 years, but way more to create a whole sector. And if we go back and see how the string transportation technology was funded and implemented over the past period, then it can be compared to that 4 or 5 year watering period. And we still need to water it, of course. And we know that the kind of conditions it takes and what kind of actions we need to take to make sure that the plant grows. And we know how much time it takes for the plant to grow. And we have an advantage over those investors who do not want to understand that, who do not want to realize it, who do not want to accept it, if you will. They just don't want to accept that the root system needs 5 years to develop. And a sector also takes dozens of years to develop. An engineering school cannot be just created in 1 year. But we've already passed that period. We've already achieved that stage. We know how the technology is implemented. I see Vitaly wrote, Maxim, we do understand, the investors do understand how it works. And it's strange that some people do not understand. Well, Vitaly, I agree with you. But if we go and read the chats about the string transportation technology, so most of the comments, most of the audience, unfortunately, does not understand that. And and that's the kind of audience I'm talking to, I guess, right now. I want to make it clear to them by using simple metaphors from our everyday life. So Alexander says, I watered it for 3 years and then I stopped watering. Does it mean that everything is lost? Well, Alexander, you should not take it too literally. What I'm saying here, that it's a collective effort, right? Crowd investing is collective, but if on a given moment, at a given moment, the company will not have enough money, enough funds, then yeah, it may be lost. And unfortunately, some investors, some partners, they drop out from the marathon. They start promoting other projects. They start investing into something that probably gives them faster results, faster capitalization. And they decide to go for sprints and not marathons, because sprints probably do not require stamina. They do not require you to understand that you are in a project that takes years to develop and that it's a marathon, not a sprint. But what matters here is that victory will be achieved by those who have most stamina. And I think we are those athletes with most stamina. We are marathon runners. So, friends, I wanted to remind you that the year 2025 is the breakthrough year, in my opinion. It's the most progressive, I think, year compared to the last 10 years, because in the year 2025, we saw a lot of scientific and practical breakthrough, and we already see the first sprouts, the first leaves above the surface of the earth. So if we compare the risk to reward ratio, right now we have the best balance, the optimum ratio, the most profitable for everyone, both for old investors and new investors. That's why we still have time before the Micron Global platform is launched. You have the opportunity to take advantage of the rebranding offer promotion. And within that promotion, you can get as high as 144 discount, quite a high discount. Let me remind you that once the Micron Global platform is launched, we're not going to have such discounts. And it is high time we used those discounts, took advantage of them. And they are available to everyone, both old investors and new investors, and those who have been investing for quite some time now. Let me also remind you, dear friends, that right now we are hoping that we now all hope that the year 2025 was a positive financial performance year. But of course, we have to wait for the results of the financial audit to know whether the year 2025 was positive in terms of profits. And to know that, and probably if it is positive in terms of profits, then we're going to get our remuneration, our dividends in 2026, closer to quarter three, quarter four. And let me remind you, you will be entitled to remuneration, to payout, only if you have shares in your portfolio. And I'm talking about, and if you're purchasing installments, your installments should also be finished, right? But at least you can start paying for the installments if you want to. And right now we still have that, still 3 days at least in this year to purchase new packages so that you are entitled to more shares, hence more payout in 2026 if the company shows a positive financial performance. However, we have a lot of signs that show us that the year 2026 will be even more lucrative, more profitable, because we see increased interest in the technology from outside customers. And that increase demand or interest is going to grow. And we see it from every single news published by the group of companies over the last 3-5 months of the expiring year. So friends, I wanted to congratulate all of us on the results that have been achieved by the entire GTI group and the entire UST structure. Definitely, those results wouldn't be possible, wouldn't have been achieved if every one of us didn't support the technology in different ways, starting from promotion to funding and investment of that process. So every little bit helps, every effort helps. So all those results that we've discussed right now is the results of all of our efforts, of all of our activities present today, or those who will be watching the recording of that meeting. It's a fact. And I'm grateful to every investor who is not indifferent to that project, who is putting their efforts to make sure that the string transportation technology develops further and implemented further on our planet and, well, in our world. So friends, I would like to sincerely thank every single one of you for your efforts. And I would like also to wish to all of us that in the next year, 2026, we're all as active as possible, but in life, not only in business, and that you would enjoy what you do and find pleasure in your business, in your job, in what you do. And those partners and investors who resonate with the development, with the future of the string transportation technology, and who see themselves in the crowd investing of that for that technology, I invite them to join our ranks on the updated platform, set themselves ambitious goals, and build on our platform their very solid careers who will allow them to become financially free and independent. If you enjoy, of course, doing that, and if you do, then probably you will have a most harmonious growth in your life. And our platform provides all the opportunities for that and all the and make sure that you can achieve those goals. So I would like to wish all of you, dear friends, success, prosperity in 2026. But not only, I would like all of your goals that you set for yourselves for 2026 to be achieved. And we, as the entire crowd investing community who came to help the string transportation technology, I'm sure all of us have one common goal, which is to make sure that string transportation technology is present in every city, in every country, and available to every human being. So let's make the year 2026 as breakthrough as possible in terms of raising awareness among people on the planet about this technology, so that they know that this technology, Dr. Unitsky's technology, can help save the planet, can make sure that people achieve their financial freedom, their financial independence, and to make sure that we preserve life on this planet. So, dear friends, I would like to wish you all happy new year, year 2026, and I'll be waiting for you, looking forward to meeting you on our next meeting. It's going to be the 10th of January, Saturday. We have this meeting, this day scheduled for us, and we're going to talk about our plans for 2026. We're going to talk about the Micron Global launch. I will give you the entire plan of our activities, about our meetings, how we're going to conduct business starting January. So, guys, see you in the next year. I would like again to wish you a happy new year. And don't forget, we have still 3 days left until the end of the year. Please hurry up and take advantage of the opportunities that this passing year has to offer to you. Have a nice evening and see you in 2026. Bye bye.